welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week we're going on a suicide mission as we break down the Suicide Squad, sequel or the reboot to 2016's original Suicide Squad. In this version, we get a mostly new team of supervillains being blackmailed/threatened by Amanda Waller and joining Rick Flag and Harley Quinn to kind of sort of save the world. So, Tammy, what did you think about the Suicide Squad?
I'm very disappointed.
What?
I am. Going in, we've talked about how we did not have high expectations for it at all, that we thought it was going to be horrible just based on the trailer and everything like that. So you already, I already knew I was going to have a negative reaction to it because I had the assumption that it was going to be just crap, right? But even the first one, which may not have been the greatest villain movie ever, but the acting was good, I don't feel necessarily all was phoning it in or it was just ridiculous, right? But with the Suicide Squad, which is ridiculous on the name alone, it just makes me even more disappointed in the DC universe. I know y'all, I've been going on these rants every single week about the DC universe, but that's because that is my favorite. I am a DC person and I'm a DC fan, and it's such a disappointment on how ridiculous this movie was. Ridiculous on a whole nother level where I'm just what the fuck am I watching? That's all I kept saying with the nonsense. And I'm some of these characters we've seen before. I watched The Flash. I've seen some of these characters. I'm just this is ridiculous. It was just such a disappointment. Even more than what I thought. It was just such a disappointment on how ridiculous it was. This is a throwaway movie that is not going to expand the universe at all. What did you think of it, Eddie?
Wow. Okay. I'm glad. Okay, did you go to the movies to see it? I'm going to answer your question, but
absolutely not. I stayed home.
You stayed home? Okay. So I guess that's where the first part of the answer to your question comes from. I'm glad I stayed home to watch it. I'm glad I did not go to the movies to actually see it. That being said, I pretty much agree with you on everything you said. I don't know if I could have been disappointed even more by the Suicide Squad versus the 2016 version. The floor or the ceiling for this movie, they kind of met, and that was at the bottom. I've always said I don't think it was a surprise to anyone that this was probably one I was not looking forward to. But in certain ways, I liked it better than the original one, just because it set a better tone as far as the ridiculousness. It seemed like the first one took itself more seriously or too seriously, and this one did not. It was just, it knew it was random, it knew it was wild, it knew it was stupid, and it kind of leaned into that, which I appreciated it. So it went for the R rating, which was okay. The violence, it was just, I don't know. I think it had, the acting may not have been as good, but I thought it had better dialogue. So there are certain things that I liked better about this one. I guess maybe because it didn't take itself as seriously as the first one than the last one. Overall, was it a better movie? I don't know. I really don't know. And in saying all of that, David Ayer, who directed the first one without who just directed Suicide Squad from 2016, he said that DC did the same thing to him as they did to Zack Snyder. And the 2016 movie that we saw was not his version of the movie. So I don't know. And people are saying that James Gunn is a genius for being able to save this in the DC universe, which do you agree with that or not?
Save what? Look, Eddie, don't get me into my rant. You know how I feel about this.
I'm just telling you what the
I
people have said.
But I get the whole, okay, so the one thing is it was genuine to like the ridiculousness, right? Because the characters are actual characters from the DC universe. Definitely get that. I am going to disagree with you on that. Like I may be in a minority, but I enjoyed what Suicide Squad could have been. If they had done a second one, I could see the progression of the characters from Suicide Squad on to number two. For this one, I felt like they threw as much ridiculousness. They got the characters that would just be like, huh? Kind of thing. Like I understand every single, like, comic books have ridiculous like villains and characters. We get that. But you threw as many as you could into this movie. Like, and I like it was partly like, okay, they're laughing at themselves, and but like I'm just like, this is a throwaway. Like, you're not trying to do anything from here with Suicide Squad. Like there's no future for Suicide Squad. If you come out with another one, it's gonna be a whole nother cast. Like, and I'm just like, that's the reason why DC is so disjointed. You do not have a continuation, and I've said that previously. There's no continuation. So no, I'm gonna disagree with whoever said that he's saving DC. No, you're not. You're doing another throwaway movie like the rest of them have done.
You know what? I agree. The suicide, and I think that was what my original disappointment was with Suicide Squad 2016, was because of the potential. I kind of liked where they were going better with that movie. Like because of what it was, it did have a better possibility for continuation, I guess. The continuity was there if they would have built on it instead of scrapping it and starting all over with what you so aptly put as a throwaway. I agree with that wholeheartedly. With this, I don't see it going anywhere. I see characters that, now what I got from it is, don't give me another Suicide Squad if you're just going to do this bullshit, because really, but I would love a Bloodsport standalone, or a Deadshot standalone. And I've said that from the beginning. I thought Idris Elba was great as Bloodsport. He did the best with what he had. And sexy Idris with the little gray showing through. And I even love that he got to use his natural accent. He got British Idris, so that I was good with that. So I would love, if you wanted to do if you wanted to do another spinoff on a character, please, Bloodsport. But get someone to do it right, because it has the potential to be done right. And I'm with you, and I think we've discussed it so many times. That's my opportunity. That's my biggest disappointment with DC, is that you take all these prime loved characters and you find a way to fuck them up. Like, and even with this, it had potential, because they were saying, oh, everyone knew the disappointment of the 2016 Suicide Squad. You had that great cast, Will Smith, everything, even the story, and they found a way to fuck it up. So now you come back and you want to take it, and everyone said, oh, the original Suicide Squad took itself way too seriously. So now you come back and you give us something that's supposed to be irreverent, but it's just stupid. Like, so I do applaud James Gunn for showing that, hey, you can do both Marvel and DC. But and I guess some people were trying to build this as, oh, maybe DC's version of Guardians of the Galaxy. No, stick with Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. The Suicide Squad, this didn't work for me. Not even the James Gunn version. I get what you were trying to do. As far as the movie itself, overall, having better cohesion, having a better storyline, not being so disjointed, yes. That part, there were parts that I liked better. But once David Ayer says, okay, DC, Zack Snydered him, it kind of makes you wonder, what could the original have been? So I don't know where to go with this. Like, was there something you liked about the
movie? I like seeing the lady from Queen of the South. I loved her in Queen of the South. I thought she was great. That was a surprise. I didn't look at the cast, so I didn't know that she was actually in the movie. Mm-hmm. I like the fact of when they like knocked Amanda Waller over the head and took charge of the Suicide Squad in order to save the island, or wherever they were, the country. But no, like, even I disagree with you on the whole I think Idris Elba in this movie had the common effect, which I guess that's gonna be a thing now for me. That's what I'm gonna call it. Where he's a very, very good looking man. That accent makes him even sexier. But because the movie was so ridiculous, like, I don't think he did a good job. And the reason why is because the movie was so ridiculous. Because if I was to consider him to do a good job, then I would say that the other actors and characters, they did a good job on their characters as well. Because his, how he responded to the situation, everything was the same way as the rat girl, and as what's the one that was throwing the dots, I forgot what his name was, but as the other dude with the color things on his face. So I would just say, like, that's more of you get a good looking dude to be in a role and people can excuse like some ridiculousness of it. But to actually give him a movie, Deadshot should have a movie rather than Bloodsport. Bloodsport's background may be interesting, but the character that was in this movie, no, I don't think the character that was in this movie should have his own movie. But like, Deadshot should have his own movie. Like, the characters from the first one, I could see more having their own individual movie or being involved in the Justice League movies that are coming out, rather than the characters from this one. Like, everything was a throwaway to me. The characters were a throwaway, the storyline was a throwaway, the whole movie was a throwaway. Like, even Amanda Waller, like Viola Davis, like, I don't even think, like, she was just like, okay, well, I'm on contract, so I just got to do this. Because I would even say, like, her character was a throwaway. Like, it was just ridiculous all around. Such a disappointment. I continue to say, such a disappointment. They, like, even as they say, they took it too seriously. I enjoyed the first one way more than I enjoyed this one. Because I could see potential of the first one. I can't see potential with this one. And that's what throws me off. So, yeah.
Yeah. I still think, well, now don't get me wrong, this is not Idris Elba's best performance by far. I wouldn't put him up for it. I wouldn't even say he saved the movie. I would just say, based on who Bloodsport is and how he played him, like, I had to try to find positives in this. So that was one of the things I took out of it, is somehow, even though the movie was ridiculous and it was horrible and some of the lines were horrible, he still managed to kind of stay above the fray as the one, I guess, the comedy. You have the comic relief and then you have the heavy. So I guess if we're going with Golden Girls, he was who was it? Blanche, Rose, and gosh, he I can't think who was B. Arthur's character. I can't believe I'm blanking on the Golden Girls, but that's who he was.
Dorothy.
Yes, Dorothy. He was more or less the Dorothy in this, where he was the straight man, coming from that comic thing. So, and I just think Bloodsport is a very interesting character. I could go with either a Deadshot or a Bloodsport movie. Like, he was probably the one thing I want to see what would happen with him. And yeah, it's just hard, like, to know what to do. Like, I don't know where the DC, based on this movie, I don't know where, I can't say that I honestly understand where the DC universe is going or what the vision is for the DC universe based
I
on
get
this
it.
movie. You
I
do?
know. Yeah.
What?
It's all about money now. Like, they have not sat down and actually had a conversation about where they see the universe 5 years from now, 10 years from now. They're about, we're going to make money off of these characters that people will come see no matter what. So you're going to make another Superman movie. Not because like you have this great story that is going to do amazing things for the whole universe, but just because you know Superman will sell and people will come watch it and you can make your money back. And you're just hoping you're going to make enough money to be like, oh, it was like kind of a success, so we're going to go for a third one. And that's for everything. Like, I don't think necessarily they're looking future wise. They're not planning this out. It's not a planning out thing. It is individual movies all the time. Like individual, and I said this before on that's the reason why you have multiple actors playing same characters across the board. There's no conversation about having one linear like direction for the universe and then going from there. Like, no, it's just we're literally gonna just spread it out. Everybody do their own stories, and you're gonna make money because you know people like love these characters, so they're just gonna come see it. I don't think they have any type of future direction for the DC universe. So whoever is the head of the DC movies, you suck.
Yeah,
you suck big donkey balls.
Damn, that's something I would say. I'm so proud.
Yes, like huge, like they're swollen donkey balls.
Damn.
Okay.
Damn.
But, yeah, like I had to go explicit so you understand how pissed off I am at you. I'm pissed off at the people at DC.
I see that. I feel that. I hear that. Yeah, you know, and one of these things, because we've done it, we've had an episode where we talked about the two and we put them head to head. So I generally try to stay away from the comparisons of the universe. But DC, that is the one difference. And Marvel has its faults too. We know that it does. Obviously, they're being sued by their leading woman right now. Well, Disney, not necessarily Marvel, but Disney. But the one thing that we have talked about, and I will applaud, and every time I see this, and it seems like we have the conversation, Marvel has a plan. They've had a plan for the beginning. They will, and you've heard actors say, I did not want that Marvel. I turned Marvel down because initially Natalie Portman walked away from Marvel because of the commitment, where if you're in one of their tentpole films, you're committed to appear in a series of at least 5 to 10 films somewhere throughout the universe. So people are like, they're scared of that commitment, and that's the thing. DC needs to sit down. We can tell you what phase we're in Marvel, and I say it all the time. We know the plan. You may not agree with it. You may not always understand it, but hey, we're in phase 4. And what we're trying to do now is figure out how Hawkeye is going to tie into Loki, how that's going to tie into Spider-Man, how that's going to tie into to Doctor Strange. But we know that somehow, some way, all of those things are going to ultimately fit somewhere. With DC, you don't have that continuity. You don't even have the threads. And I was reading something, and they were saying that like the 10 differences between the two movies. And one of the differences is that they weren't trying to, one of the things that they seemed to applaud was the fact that there was no continuity, or that there wasn't a connection to the DC universe. Like with the first one, at least you had Harley Quinn, you have the Joker, but here you get a random mentioning of of Superman, of Bloodshot nearly killing Superman. But to me, that connection at this point is what makes it cohesive, what makes it thrive, what kind of makes it make sense. You can't put in these little random Easter eggs and not have them pay off. I think moviegoers, especially now, and especially for these kinds of movies, have become more sophisticated, and they want that continuity. They want that kind of connection.
I agree.
So, I'm with you. I have, besides the money, and in this day and age, when people have so many other choices, and Marvel is so much better, and this movie cost $183 million to make. So you're spending damn near $200 million.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah. So you're spending that type of money to make a movie so far at the box office. And I get it. We're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. So I get that you're not going to recoup that money right away. But opening, it's still disappointed. It's still underperformed even during a pandemic. And the fact that it's on HBO Max had nothing to do with that underperformance. It still made number one. It still did well streaming there. But so to me, just business wise, if I'm the head of DC, I think his name is Jeff Johns or something. I don't know who it is at this point, but I'm with you. If I'm the head of DC, what I'm thinking about, okay, $200 million to make a movie. I need to, if I'm spending that type of money, because that's a lot of money, even though I know I'm going to get it back on trash, there's only so many people, so many times people are going to keep coming back to see trash.
Yep.
Because it is getting to the point now, like I said, honestly, if this weren't on HBO Max, oh, this would have been an L. We would have had to do this like later on next year when it just showed up on HBO Max or whatever. Because there was no way in hell, based on my first experience and the recent experiences I've had with DC, that I would continue to spend my money to go out and watch those movies. Especially knowing now that every time I walk into a movie theater, you're doing so at your own risk. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you can, there's only so much you can, there's only so many times you can say, hey, I know I'm going to get my money back and still keep putting out trash. And there's only so many times that as you're only going to be head of DC for so long. Warner Brothers is going to, especially with Discovery taking over Warner Brothers now, there's only so many times I'm going to allow you to run this into the ground, keep spending this type of money to give me this type of product.
Yeah, like, and I just, like, I really do wish, I hope, give it 2 years of y'all don't put out any movies, take the 2 years and literally plan out the next 10 years of the DC universe. Like how every movie connects, how every character showing up. Get your actors that are going to commit to those movies for at least 10 years. You're going to commit to it. And literally, and you can be popping them out 2 a year from then on. But plan it out. There's so much that DC could do. And I'll be honest, DC has better characters. And a lot of the characters that are really big at Marvel, they were copied from DC characters. But now you talk to people about that and they're just like, no, they weren't. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Okay. But it's only because DC sucks that you don't know the history of all of that. So I need them to take some time and really get this together. Like, you're going to do Batman? Please make sure that this Batman lasts. Please do. Like, Wonder Woman is the only person that stayed steady. Like, she's the only person. She can't hold this down. Why is it women always got to hold stuff down? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because we're the best. We know what to do.
Like, like Wonder Woman, the only one. She holding this down. But Superman's been changed multiple times. Batman's been changed multiple times. The Flash, you got TV Flash, you got movie Flash. Cyborg is off doing his own thing because, he had a shitty experience. Aquaman, okay, Aquaman coming back for a second one. So that's looking promising on Aquaman. But I swear, if Jason Momoa wasn't the sexy thing that he currently is, I don't know how much, like, that would have been such a huge thing. But, like, so I'm like, you got Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Can I get the rest of my Justice League? Where's my Green Lantern movie?
And I think it has to do with also the directors, the directors and the producers and the writers of that movie. James Wan, Aquaman, Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman. And so I think you need to, for what it was, for this just being a shit show, and I guess you knew it was going to be a shit show. You have the name James Gunn, and you just let him do what he do. You let him do what he does. You let him be him. And I can appreciate that. If he didn't come in,
it was trash. I don't care if they let him do what he do. You put out trash.
It was still trash. Don't get me wrong. And I can appreciate that he didn't come in and try to make a carbon copy of Guardians of the Galaxy. I can appreciate that. So my point is, if you're going to rebuild the universe, then I would rebuild it not around who on paper and historically your two most successful characters have been Batman and Superman. I would do it off of my two most successful movie movie franchises right now. So if you want to start with the Justice League and go from there, then take Wonder Woman and Aquaman and use them as the stepping stone for rebuilding the universe, since those are your two most successful. And I agree. Aquaman was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but it was better given all the other trash that they had put out. It was better than I thought it was going to be. And honestly, without Jason Momoa, I don't know if it would have been successful. I can say that I am looking forward to Aquaman 2. Um, Wonder Woman 2, kind of 1984, kind of suffered from a little bit of that sequel-itis. It was good. It wasn't great, but I am looking forward to Wonder Woman 3. We've talked about the cracked out Batman. As much as I love Robert Pattinson, I don't know. The jury is still way, 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 way out on emo Batman. Like
I'm
I'll see
excited
it.
because I know he can act, and
Yeah, I mean, I love
I'm
Robert
excited to
Pattinson.
see what he brings to the role.
It has nothing to do with him. It just has to do with what I've heard and the few things that I've seen. And I'm just like, okay, how is this going to work? The Joker was phenomenal. Um, but again, here we go. The word is that there might be a Joker sequel, okay, but are you going to tie the Joker with the person who made it phenomenal, Joaquin Phoenix, to the rest of the universe? And if I'm Joaquin, based on what I've seen from the rest of the universe, and if I have a say, if I'm executive producer or I have that kind of say in clout, which is Joaquin Phoenix, I'm sure he would in this movie. Hell no, I don't want you tying my shit to the rest of your shit show.
Then he
So
shouldn't get a sequel. That's my whole
but
thought
okay,
process. That he
let me
shouldn't
put
get
it
a sequel if you're not willing
let me put
to.
it this way. Don't tie my shit to the rest of your universe based on what I've seen so far. How about that?
No, I still say you shouldn't get a sequel then. Like,
No.
it's either you in the universe or you don't get no standalone movie. And that's the problem that they have, is all of these standalone movies that they are doing with no connection to the universe. None whatsoever. You had Jared Leto as the Joker. You had Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Like, there's no connection whatsoever. So if you want to actually be successful, rather than riding on the coattails of the popularity of the comic books or the fact that people have been fans, their whole lives, then you are going to have continuation, which means that if Joaquin Phoenix is not trying to be part of that continuation, then he don't get a sequel. You can write on the fact that the Joker was amazing, and you don't get a sequel because we need a Joker who's going to be part of the universe that we're creating, but they're not going to create the universe. So
Exactly. But what from what I'm saying is, and it's still a sore subject. As amazing as Joaquin Phoenix was, he won an Oscar for the role. The movie was great. Blah blah blah. People are still upset. Agree with you that yes, you should have given Jared Leto his own standalone movie, especially after the way you fucked up the Joker in the Suicide Squad, which again we're told wasn't. And he even said it when it came out. He even pushed back a little bit, like this wasn't necessarily the character. The way they chopped and screwed brought his parts up in the Suicide Squad is like this wasn't the character that I played. This wasn't this. So but people still wanted to see that. So I agree with you. I thought when I heard the Joker was getting a movie, I thought, oh, Jared Leto, okay, we get a chance to see what his Joker was, But if I had a successful movie based on the lack of plans and the lack of continuity and the lack of a game plan, I wouldn't necessarily want to tie my movie into that either, unless you could show me how it's going to tie in and build into the better universe. I wouldn't necessarily want to tie my movie into your shit to just throw it in there and be random. I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. So I can't blame him for that. Um, you know, but if you could come to me with a cohesive plan and say, hey, this is how we want to fit your Joker into the universe. Like again, Batman. Is Joaquin Phoenix going to be the Joker in the Batman? Are they steering away? And I've heard different things. Are they steering away from Batman completely, from the Joker completely, who we know is Batman's main nemesis, because they can't get Joaquin Phoenix to? So it's like, what is going on there? So if there is a Joker in a Batman, are you going? Is it going to be Joaquin Phoenix? Is it going to be Jared Leto? Is it going to be some other random dude? Like,
But the Joker is not the main villain. He would be a background character if he even showed up at all.
the Joker is the reason why he lost his family. Like,
No. Like in this new movie with Robert Pattinson, the Joker is not the main villain of that story.
so, but eventually, if it continues on with Batman and you can get Robert Pattinson to return for a Batman, the Joker will have to show up in Batman.
I wouldn't want it to be Joaquin Phoenix. I'll take Jared Leto more.
So then, okay, so if you go back to that, do you just cancel out the Joker movies?
I just cancel out. Yeah. Isn't that what I said like 5 minutes ago? Yeah. You get a one and done. Great job.
So, but then that goes back to the continuity issue. So do you, and after the way you treat him, would Jared Leto want to come back?
Probably not. Cast somebody new.
So I'm just saying, it's a complete and utter shit show. Over at DC.
Let's end the misery.
So was there anything else that you liked? I'm trying to end this on a positive note.
No, let's rate this. No, let's rate this. Let's get this over with.
You didn't like?
Yeah, we literally spent majority of this episode talking about DC Universe rather than the actual movie, y'all. That tells you how bad the movie was.
Sylvester Stallone was King Shark. I did not know that. And so, just a little trivia. I'm trying to be on a positive note.
Tammy is going to rate Suicide Squad.
On a positive note, before we end, Sylvester Stallone. That's not a positive
note to me. You know, you're a fan of Sylvester Stallone. I am not.
I'm not really a big fan, but he spent 6 decades at the top of the box office. So to have had a number one movie for 60 years.
Decades?
6 decades.
At the top?
Yep. He's had a number one movie in each of the last 6 decades. That's amazing. Whether you're a fan or not, that is amazing. I got you. You're silent. You're thinking about it, aren't you?
No, I'm waiting for you to get to the ratings part.
No, I thought you were going to rate it now.
Oh, okay. I could just jump in?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to rate Suicide Squad. Look, they should be glad that some of my favorite actors was in this movie, okay? I'm going to give it a 2.0. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.0.
We didn't even discuss Harley Quinn in this.
I'm going to give it a 2.0. I'm going to give this a 2.0. Nothing. You know what? Forget that. Forget 2.0. I'm bringing it down. I'm giving you a 1.75. I give The Suicide Squad my rating of 1.75, and I've already spent the last 30 minutes telling you why it's rated so low. So I'm not going to go into extra details on why this movie was rated so low. I'm just going to say that is my final rating. 1.75 popcorns shit. Thank you. Eddie, what was your rating for The Suicide Squad?
You must have hated Harley Quinn because you loved her. And as soon as I brought up Harley Quinn, you dropped it.
Because it's no point in extending this conversation. Like, the movie was trash. It don't matter who was in the movie. The movie was trash. Like, I like the actor who plays Flag, but the movie was trash all around. So 1.75. Like, it ain't no point having a conversation about Harley Quinn because she couldn't save this movie herself.
Okay. Well, I tried. I am going to stick with my original rating, which I did. I think based on what you said, some of my favorite actors: Viola Davis, Idris Elba. I like Margot Robbie. I'm having another brain fart on the names. I like the dude who played Rick Flag, Joel Kinnaman. So it gets a 2. Um, and that's me just, I think, being generous. I could have given it put it on a Milan scale, but when I did that, I liked it a little bit better than Milan. But yeah, it sucked. We watched it so you didn't have to. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was bad. And I don't know where the DC universe is going based on this, but they need to figure it out. Because, I have better things to spend my money. But more importantly, more than my money, I have better things to spend my time on. I can get money back. I can chalk that up to the game. I can't get my time back. And I hate wasting my time. And this was a waste of time. So,
amen.
That does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, comment, all of that on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify Podcasts. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at thepopcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Pop, pop, pop. Anniversary's come and gone. Still did not get my sound effect. I'm feeling unloved over here. And I guess she's too upset to even console me and tell me that that's okay, that I will get my sound effect. See how you do me? You just leave me with that gaping hole in my heart.
The sensitive type to console?
That wound. It seems like you would be getting more sensitive with age. We're friends now. You could be sensitive since we're friends, okay?
But we became friends with my insensitivity, so
but now
why
that
would I
we're
change?
friends, you should be sensitive.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
You're insensitive to strangers. You're sensitive to your friends, but that's okay. I understand. I'm sensitive.
I'm traumatized. I'm so traumatized that I have no sensitivity left after I had to watch that horrible trash of a movie.
I understand. I'm chalking it up to Suicide Squad PTSD. But be sure to
chalk it up for the rest of my life.
Oh God! Now you're being dramatic. Okay, so next week, be sure to join us when we discuss All American. I cannot
Season
wait.
3.
I've been waiting for this one, so tune in. Until next time. Until then, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.